In the pool, the woman, desperate to survive, handed over her priceless diamond ring, worth millions. To her surprise, the janitor who took the ring had a sinister smile on his face and promised that he would rescue them immediately. Hearing this, the two sisters sighed in relief. However, after a long time passed and no help arrived, the woman started to panic. She angrily slammed her hand against the cover above her head, trying to release her frustration. After being trapped in the pool for nearly 10 hours, the woman could feel her body temperature dropping rapidly. She feared that in just a few minutes, both she and her sister would freeze to death. In despair, they hugged each other tightly, as if holding onto each other was the only way to find any warmth. As time passed, her sister began to lose consciousness. If their body temperatures kept dropping without recovery, the outcome was clear. Watching her sister, who was on the verge of death, the woman's heart broke. She decided to sacrifice herself for a slim chance of survival. First, she made sure her sister was safely positioned by the edge of the pool, then swam toward the far side on her own. Holding her breath, she dove into the water and quickly reached the drain at the bottom of the pool. She needed to force the iron grate in front of her off, then use it to break the cover above her head. As she struggled with all her strength, the grate began to loosen. But at that moment, she reached her limit. If she didn't come up for air, she would suffocate. As soon as she surfaced, she gasped for fresh air, rubbing her hands to warm them up. After catching her breath, the woman took a deep breath and dove back under the water. She couldn't afford to waste a second. Reaching the bottom again, she grabbed the grate and pressed her feet onto the ground, using the leverage to push. Her limbs moved in sync, and finally, the grate began to budge. But once again, her breath ran out, and she had to resurface. The woman realized that if she kept repeating this process, even if she removed the grate, she might not have the strength to move anymore. Without hesitation, she swam back to her sister, tore the towel off her head, and quickly swam back to the bottom. This would be her last attempt, success or failure, it all depended on this. She twisted the towel into a long strip, then tied it to the gaps in the iron grate. With one hand on each side, she summoned all her strength and began to pull. This was it. There was no going back, and she had no more courage for another try. After several failed attempts, the once unbreakable grate finally came loose. Seeing this, the woman let out a long sigh of relief.